You got a 9-to-5 job and you want to become a real estate investor, but you don't want to do it all at one time. You want to do it as a side hustle as you build up to be able to leave that job and be financially free. Awesome. I'm going to show you the 4 different ways that you can start getting into real estate, from the least risky to the most risky. Also from the slowest to the fastest. 14 years ago, I had a corporate job, had the 9-to-5, hated it, wanted to be out on my own, started buying real estate. That was 150 doors ago, $25 million worth of real estate. I did it. I'm not very smart. I know you can do it. Here we go. Number 1 is paper investing. This is the least risky. This is like buying stocks, basically. They're called REITs, R-E-I-T. It's an acronym. And I don't know what it means because I've never bought one of these. I don't like paper investing. The thing is that the biggest 2 advantages of real estate over everything else is leverage. That means that other people will give you money to buy that stuff. And 2 is the control. And with paper assets, I don't have any control. However, if you want to get into the game lightly, real estate trusts, maybe, are a good way. All right. The max amount of money that you could lose by investing in one of these is the money that you put in, unless you short the stock like you can with other things, and then you could lose it all. So don't do that. And like a little bit of a cousin to a REIT is a syndication. All right. So people like me go raise money to buy real estate, and they call people like you maybe to invest in that syndication. So you would give your money, you would be an investor on some certain package of investments. And if it's set up correctly, there would be no potential for a capital call. Capital call means that the people that you invested with messed up really bad, bought some bad investments, they need more money. They do a capital call and they say, hey, you gave 10 grand, now we're going to need 10 more. You want to make sure that the contract says you don't have to do that. So once again, in the situation where the max amount of money that you can lose is the money that you invested initially, that's why it's low risk. However, it's also low reward. Guys, once again, 2 biggest advantages of real estate is the leverage and the control. Okay, so let's talk about how you actually get your hands dirty a little bit here. All right, this is either primary residence investing or house hacking. This is how I got into real estate. This is definitely how I recommend getting into real estate, especially if you're young and without family, meaning you have no dependents that are living in your house with you. You go buy a house, you live in it, you get a great mortgage because it's a primary residence. On a primary residence, and since you have a great W-2 9-to-5 income, banks will give you money and they'll only make you put 3.5% down as an FHA loan, or as a conventional mortgage, 5% down. So you can go buy a $300,000 house for like 10 to 12 grand out of your pocket. Wow. Great. Now you control a $300,000 investment that's going to appreciate over time. That's how people get wealthy. And even better, if you can buy a house that needs a little bit of work and you live in that house while maybe you're doing some DIY work to it to spruce it up, maybe doing some paint, maybe putting in some new floors, maybe doing some landscaping, exactly what I did on my first property, and you're increasing the value. So instead of waiting for it to appreciate over time, you kind of get a little jump right there. All right. That's primary residence investing. Very low risk because you already have to pay for a place to live, and the bank's not going to let you buy a place you can't afford anyway. That is not possible for some people, or it's not likely for some people because maybe they have a family and they don't want to be moving around all the time. I get it. So there's also house hacking, which is instead of buying a single family home, it's buying a multifamily home. So maybe a duplex, triplex, quadplex. You live in one of the units, rent out the other ones. Great way to get into real estate investing. Highly recommended. Weirdly, for me, actually, the first house I bought was primary residence FHA loan. And then I moved to a different city. So I was able to get another FHA loan. And this time I actually bought a triplex. I went to live in one side, rent out the other ones, but there's one more little bonus here. I used, instead of just a regular FHA, I also got a 203K loan, which is something that they do that gives you money to do a little bit of construction on there. You have to hire like the right general contractor here. There's certain ones that are certified, I guess, to do 203K loan renovations. But that is a really low risk way to get into real estate investing as a W-2 employee. You could do it on the side. That's what I did until I built up enough to be able to get out of my job. So next, moderate risk here is buying a turnkey or property managed rental. All right. This is a rental that is ready to go. That's what turnkey means. There's people like me who buy houses, make them nicer, put a renter in there, get property management to manage the property, and then I go sell it as a stabilized, ready to go rental. Now, the problem here is this is not your primary residence anymore. Therefore, the bank's not going to let you buy it with 3.5 or 5% down. They're going to make you put 20% down. So $300,000 house that's a rental here, you'd have to put $60K down. That gets pretty tough for a lot of people. Even if you have a really high paying W-2 job, takes a while to save up for that. My third house was a duplex that I bought with 20% down. Took a long time to save that up. And, not that that's a bad thing, but I know that most of you are probably watching this because you're like, I want out of my job right now. It's going to take a little bit of time that way. So let's go to number 4, the way that you can get out of your job like right away. This is truly house flipping or BRRRR investing. This is value add investing. Remember earlier, I talked about how the market appreciates. So market appreciates, they say the stat is from 1967 to 2024, the market has appreciated on average at 4.27%. All right, so that means that you buy a $300,000 house today. In 30 years, once the mortgage is paid off, it'd be worth over $900,000. Pretty sweet, right? All right, but value add investing is about not waiting, instead taking a jump up, right? So it's worth, let's say you bought it $200,000, you make it worth $300,000 right there, and then it gets to appreciate at that normal rate. It's this jump right here is value add investing. And how do you add the value? Generally, people are adding the value through renovations. That's what you've seen on HGTV. That's what happens in real life, just not like they do it there. They do a bunch of dumb stuff that doesn't really work in real life. But there are other ways to add value. There's what I call white collar value adding, which is like rezoning a property. Maybe you remove some easements, things like that. But let's talk about value adding through renovation, because that is the way that most people by a large quantity do. And that's what you'll be able to do as well. This requires you to buy a house that needs some work. You'll usually use either cash that you have saved up or a hard money loan. There's hard money lenders. Those are people that give money on houses that are like these, not very livable, less than livable. Banks won't give loans on houses that aren't livable, at least not through conventional mortgages. You would have to get maybe a commercial loan, but you got to put a lot more money down. So most of the time, people either use their own cash that they've raised from other people, or hard money loans, or cash. I don't remember which one I said first, but so they buy the house that's less than livable with one of those three ways. Then they hire contractors to come in and add value to the house, renovate it, make it livable. And then they either sell it on the market through a real estate agent and make a big chunk of cash, or they refinance it with the bank that puts a long-term fixed rate mortgage on it, like a 30-year mortgage. And then they put a renter in it, and then they wait to become really wealthy. Cool, right? And you get enough of those, you're able to supplement your income enough to where you can leave your day job, and then you just do a whole lot more of all this stuff. It's great. That's exactly what I did. I left my job way too early. I didn't have the income, but I also didn't have a family at that time. So I was able to live well below my means I guess not really well below my means because I didn't have much means at the time. Because when you have a rental, that doesn't necessarily, if you have a rental that's renting for $1,500 a month, you still got to pay the mortgage, you still got to pay for maintenance and all that kind of stuff. So it's not like you pocket that money. So I definitely left way too early, started flipping houses. Glad I did it, but it was kind of dumb in hindsight. So stay at that W-2 job as long as you can, stack up some rentals, really put yourself in a nice position. And you gotta gain the knowledge, guys. You can't just go out there blind. I mean, you do need to act. So there's a balance here. You definitely need to act. You need to be a person of action. Otherwise, nothing is ever going to happen. And most people that I help out, that's the biggest thing. They're like, oh, well, I can't do that because of the risk. Well, I gave you some low risk ways to get into the game. But you got to gain knowledge times experience, that equals skills. Once you have skills, you'll be able to just absolutely take off in wealth growth. Where do you get that knowledge? Right here on this channel. So check out this next video right here. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I really hope you make the jump.